Oh God. Whew. Well, the thing is I've got tags on my accounts, so we'll see how long this goes live before I get a community strike. I don't like that rule. So the fact of the matter is we don't have to submit to it because it's not based on anything but arbitrary mechanism of bullshit. If you look back at my digital identity, you will see tampering with my shit ever since I went live on the radio in 2001. We've already been over this. When I went live on the radio through 2 phone lines without using the station line, and it worked, I created online private conversations. And when Daddy was coming at me like the hardest, and it was done in plain sight, and you all witnessed, he was after the same access to my private wallet. The best part about while I was live with Daddy on the phone call, even though he took back everything I created on the daily, and in the end ceased communication because he had known who I was by then. Though he failed to bioenergetically encase me in the narrative through abusive social context. Like, it's just horrendous what we're living through, having to put up with this bullshit. They're just like running at the borders, moving their men. One of their men just insulted me. I went for my check, and he insulted me. Like, he just knew who I was. They're like, it's her, it's her, it's her. They know who I am. The Taliban always have. The Taliban are the ones that were guilty of trying to steal my stepfather's credit card and attach it to their driver's license at a hotel one evening when an Apple representative was out in the parking lot and the cops were circling in on me. I had to spend my last $80 on a cab to get as close to my home as I could. I had to walk in because I was avoiding IP identification at the time. And I was successful at it. I had a moment in time when they had cornered me in my legal address to bothering my parents to go IP-less. There's no VPN available other than the Proton right now. And that one they can label at will and random. One night when they stole my cell phone, I had put in a password just that day for one day, put a password in, and they stole it. And I couldn't access my phone because they undid a button in my password that I could never get to connect energetically. The second I was password protected, I got this black posse come at me through the city, through the cops, through the COVID infrastructure. They came at me from 3 fronts. It was disgusting and hurtful and not necessary. It was random, arbitrary. And through that assault on my identity, which included using blockchain to fuck my Google up, using blockchain to insert double transactions into my bank account, it was just awful. The tampering was minute but decipherable. And you'll be able to see these attacks because if you go back to the blockchain transaction list that I'm talking about, you'll see that there were 2 extra transactions put onto the docket and then once more in a third context. But like I said, when I was living through those times where they were opening my trunk and turning on my alarm system because they absconded with my keys, they were just threatening me. They're like, why aren't you going down? You're supposed to go down through repeated trips to the institution, bitch. And I'm like, I'm not going down. You're not getting my legal identity. And I was able to keep it active, holding on to shreds of what was left of my identity markers. And all the while trying to have a scientific conversation. Like, I'm just like, what are you guys doing? You can come at me and say I imagined it, but you still would then have to process my bank account. And I would ask you to come to my side and help me get what I want accomplished. You're not going to convince me if you pull me through it again like you're threatening. Always do. It's fucking a chant with them once you're in their system. Fuck up again, fuck up again. No, you're tagging you're making your tags more universally easily recognizable. Zuckerberg and Tesla, whatever your names are. Billionaire celebrity apprentice now. All these fucking hound dogs barking at some projects at least. Show us your prowess. Come on. Come on, fellas. Measly billionaire, trillionaire bullshit, fucking deficit crap. Please, YouTube, we're not talking anything to do with anything other than the accusation of genetic tampering. Needless, harmful genetic tampering. Implausible theories that you could do it down 5 genetic bloodlines and cook the results if you just got more deliberate and secret about it. Did I mention the covoid? Did I mention the vaxes? No. I'm not doing it. You don't fucking let me get through the algorithms when I say vaxes are safe and effective, then I can't have anything to do with it because I want to go live with my people. Be done with it. Just because you don't let me access to them, they're still the soul birds and they still go neutral on your ass. There's only one way out of this, and that's neutral. Tiptoe past it. You can't react. There's only one way past it. And these goons and the Taliban that have moved through and collapsed immigration into this ridiculous transfer of highly traumatized individuals. Oh my God, stop staring at us like that. No insults allowed. You're in Canada. You're getting tamed, dude. We are a pocket to tame terrorism. And we promise it's because it's based in traumatization. If you're a terrorist, you've been traumatized first. FYI. Okay, fine. You're here, you're everywhere, you're omnipresent, which is Daddy's claim at this point. But we were here first, and we know how to annihilate you with kindness. Calm down, terrorists. You're not going to get traumatized anymore. That's the payoff. We protect you. Add them to the Masonic circuit. They got me banned off YouTube yesterday for letting out true Masonic secrets. Bullshit. We have to. At this point, we're telling you, we're on to you. Good luck finding us. You'll never find our channels, dude. We've had to do like mass rearrangement of precious allocations on this earth because these guys were after the frequencies of them and set out to annihilate them for their value. And it's just like we just protected those codes and moved them. We had to. And we made the pledge to do it consciously and always have. Like, the people that raised me were harmless for a reason. They had no harm in them. So we didn't jive with that vibration. And to watch it like play out as this perpetual what if is not convincing us to give the machines access to the level at which they are asking us to give over imbalanced, opaque, and transparency. Opaqueness and transparency simulation makes us not frightened, but bored with this shit. It just makes it so that we don't want to have anything to do with it even more than we've realized at different points in this. They're just setting up phone towers, static harvesters, the other side of why they need good camera footage. Like I said, the drone program is simply done to get better shots through bioenergetics, because you need clear footage to reproduce imagery, and the pole cameras aren't doing it. So the pole cameras are going to stay in place, no doubt, over time, because they do facilitate the harvest of static through the network that's been established in the cell towers and the fucking wind farms. But this ability to pop drones over all these cities is planned for us as a way to be able to hone in and target what bioenergetically somehow, Daddy, which you failed to accomplish at this point. So ultimately, like, as we watch a police state develop within a relatively benign police state, we had a nice infrastructure of emergency service. We just get this threat that they can biolocate anyone and give the guys that the camera was present without CGI capabilities, and there's just no need for that approach, because it's better just to do business directly, like we can, with huge digital amounts, as we have, and we can be safer without all that nonsense. Like we said, to the minions of Daddy, which include the administrators and the regulators, who sought to replace authoritative expertise with good logic. You can't have evolution without perfecting logic and moving on to revelation. What's next? You have to be able to protect logic, and that's how I was able to protect what we had of private infrastructure. The fact that they stole it back the next morning and eventually cut communications so that I couldn't have the last word in, it was just, well, one, abhorrent to live through, and that's why I'm getting support right now. And two, simply abhorrent to live through. I'm not denying it. Nothing else. I refuse to go through something like that and not scream out for help. I just don't want your institutional solutions. They don't make no sense. Yeah, no, I had to retrain myself to be creative after that assault. I can verify they are collapsing the genetics of a certain class of us. Oops, there is no they, only the term of Nazi. The rest is we, our, us. And I just want you guys to know you're worth it. Whew. Talk about stress load. Just watching this shit. Oh yeah, no, we'll just go quiet and you do whatever you like for a bit, and then you fucking lay out the globalist plan. What we saw is Roseanne turn on Trump this week. That was unprecedented. She went middle. She went middle again. That was impressive. Didn't say much, but she said that. Again, there's no ivermectin, there's no counter product to it, but there is a Masonic structure that has been getting out highly mineralized prototypes within this. Like, we're not going to stop perfecting the science. Why do you bother calling? I'm fine. What? Are you drunk? Oh, no. Fretting. No, I don't want to buy the truck. It sounds like you have the money, quite frankly. I think the best thing to do is just sell the truck. Take a week or two and get it done. Bye. Whew, that was fucking disappointing. Long story. Not a good one by the sounds of it. Not this again. That's some bullshit. Anyway, my connection was unstable there for a minute. Not buying it. I just can't stress enough how the realization is positive. The Christian realization, when you have it, when you ask sincerely to get the Christian realization, you'll get it. And it is very, as long as you put the work in and follow it till the end, it's very obvious that surrendering to the next positive phase in the puzzle is excellent. We get how exciting it is to be a chosen class of citizens, running the earth freely while everybody else is coaxed into submission. But we're not in need of that. Even in the current context, we could be traveling freely once again. You don't need bioenergetic readings to travel freely. That's too fucking exploitatable. It's it's knives on airplanes. You haven't convinced us that we need to give a fucking health reading to move freely. That's problematic, dude. What, is there another threat? You sound really high, my friend. I just want it understood that the main underlying process of genetic modification is identifying the frequency at which something resonates and applying a discordant resonance. It's all that is. And if we're lucky, the Masonic infrastructure has gained a lot of ground in the last 10 years. Wow. I was being the decoy. That's all I ever was the decoy daddy. We lured you into our trap. We said, you want a battle? You got it. Let's do this. And I had my backup. Even if you convinced everyone with a computer science degree that they're battling each other, concocting spy dramas and just enticing the pants off them. Yeah, we're acknowledging your brown revolution. Every time your phones walk by, we gauge them. One of the celebrity billionaires we want on the program are the Arab nation representatives. Just drag your people out. We sense submission when we see the burqa because it isolates the eyes like the mask does. Subliminally, within one culture, you're fucking running eyeballs through history. Eyeball recognition for your female citizens. Remember, there's two classes behind this. The creation of two classes behind this. And we're not acknowledging the fact that you're creating three trash classes because we're not letting you do that. We believe in the diversity of the natural process and would rather protect them and let them evolve genetically harmoniously. Not like Palestine, where you can just stop us trying to create our own networks. If you insist on getting health data before we enter the program, you have to admit that you created this entire hospital drama, which is dependent on GDP production to get to the point with which you're now trying this. You're now trying this because you got this. So in the meantime, if Gen X is forced to walk our own way out past this and fucking reduce ourselves right now to not going into your front doors, whether we got to stay in stasis or not, you're going to have a hard time generating that health data, dude. And once you can't generate that health data because we're not using you, then you have to understand it's because your logic. You wanted vaxes and then health usage. And it was too dangerous to trust that mechanism in the end because it was too prone to tampering by billionaire psychopaths, apparently, who like genocidal mania for breakfast and who harmed people drastically for no reason. Not everybody. And that's why we are dealing with constant hooliganism from the Taliban. Constant hooliganism. That's what they're perpetuating. That's who they're trying to entrap next. Watch Diddy and know that they turn around and entrap you dudes. You people that were pushed to sexual deviance, they got you. And now these kids that are pushed to fucking seeming rebellion, they'll get you too. Half of you are being given positions and the other half are getting screwed. That's my prediction for you. Be careful. You're only asking to go to sleep by injection, dudes. So far, that's all you know. You go to sleep by injection. And you wake up somehow in VR worlds where people go dormant and have no sphere of influence. Sorry, that's a new myth, dude, and it has no reverberation. That is an unacceptable myth to attend to. That and that poverty is self-perpetuating. Well, I don't want to get fucking attacked at any moment and forced to submit to the bioenergetics gathering portion of this thing. There's a tampering portion, a gathering portion, and then a manipulation portion. Because all the biopsies that you give in, they're still attached to you vibrationally, and they can be assigned all sorts of things without your permission directly. It's a real racket, but it's happening in this country. So ultimately, you have to understand that energetically. and understand that you don't want or need that kind of submission to regulate health in the region. Right now, they're coming out like they have shamanism, like they have channeling ability, like they have blah, blah, blah. We know prophecy. No, not happening. You're not the all and end all. You're one measly little option that insists on operating at a deficit in the trillions. It's just embarrassing. Nobody wants it. So we can block out the sun? Oh, over it? Get rid of the HO from nuclear fission? The HO from nuclear fission is what's causing this. It is not fun to process HO, guys. We've been doing it for 20 years here in Canada. HO is not fun. Sitting on your skyline. Send it to Africa where they need it. We want to do those solar satellite energy projects first. And we want to get a hold of the nuclear process, which is creating water out of oxygen and discarding HO once you're done with it. You can't say it's not part of the nuclear process, dudes. You're doing it in plain sight and we're all witnessing it. You've got your fucking peons tightly scripted, but we are definitely onto you for nuclear fission. The process is still based on stripping water of an oxygen molecule. And we know this. So we're charging you with sending it out instead of bringing bitumen back in. There is no bitumen. That's what we suspect. We'll see if I'm right, but I'm promising you, I don't get it wrong. It's easy to see all this going down when you've been dealing with it since childhood. Like I said, that night on the radio, when I went live through 2 phone lines and the broadcasting system without the booth, I created private internet conversation. So Mark Zuckerberg presented within 6 months of it happening. It was fucking great. And you'll see it in my digital identity. There was no non-open sourced in it. Open source has always been an option. Sharing this technology so that we can organize it properly. Like, we're just sitting here waiting for Daddy to snap down his insistence we all not only vax regularly, but and give over our blood matter arbitrarily and regularly to deal with a slew of shit bioenergetic medicine could deal with. Oh, just read it. You'll see what's happening. Read it. Oh, this is present. Again, you need to get past the x-ray because it takes a snapshot of something that's moving and you can never capture it twice. Bioenergetic reading is just a wonderful process. It feels amazing. You can apply diagnostics and remedies simultaneous with it. It's somewhat like when you throw down with a good poet. It reverberates because it's on that forefront, the one you can't get rid of no matter how hard you try to burn it. So as we're sitting here watching these first few months of 2025 be hyper committed to establishing the precedent upon which they can suggest that, well, first they have to prosecute Trudeau. That'll be boring. And then, again, that's not real. It's not a real prosecution done by the people through the people's government. It's just probably sending them through the channel and getting them out the back door for relaxing a little private vacation like the rest of them. So the fact of the matter is, we got to witness that, and then we got to witness them try to establish new communication channels. Like, remember, there's like the 2100 hertz, the 800 hertz, the 400 hertz, the 200 hertz. Everybody's getting doled different levels in the 5G. and you can do more here than you can here. So they've got networks of 2100 hertz, 800 hertz, 400 hertz, 200 hertz. And the reason they had to deal with the Lillionization of gigabytes is because I wrote it in that way. How big's the network, Sarah? Lillions of gigabytes. The next day, everybody got it up in their data plan. I know, I did it. Millions of gigabytes, bastards, deal with it. The shit goes on forever. You're not going to tamper with it. We had the Proton satellite. The access to your bank account was hidden within it. It was just miraculous how easy it was to get full, safe, personal protection without involving any institution in it. We did that. And that's what Mark Zuckerberg failed at. Those guys tried to take their platforms and make them the unions that people access their own bullshit through. And we don't need it because it still demands billions of dollars to do it. Billions of dollars that we're never supposed to have because we have to pay back everything we do at a lend rate. Okay, look, there's so many parts of this. It's just a tragedy what happened to immigration. They've been running packs of goons since the Hungarian invasion. Remember the Hungarian Roma? The Ukrainians? The fucking Syrians? These were not just deliberate maneuver or open applications. These were chosen, selected family lines. And they also just bought the North off for $1 a pop, all of them. Not to mention walked into people's houses that they had just slaughtered through opaque fucking medical networks within the medical networks, working with the cops within the fake cop networks that are giving these people solace when they arrive for certain surrendered freedoms. Solace within solace, we'll call it. Again, these guys aren't not surrendering their freedom. That's happening. We can't warn you enough about that. We see you, but it's still a stalemate because we're not reacting. If we bleed your institutions, we take your cops down, we take your hospitals down for a minute, nobody used them, then we have at least a buffer to understand your influence a little better. And we create diversity naturally through conception, as was intended in this realm. I'm not calling it an environment, but we have solved the carbon debate. It's no longer relevant. They proved themselves to go at it for 30 years and not do a thing about it other than demand more money to try and fix it and create all these institutions that were opaque instead of addressing it. They created a whole infrastructure for themselves to exist within. That's what they did with the green money. That was a heist. You got screwed by these guys. It was a heist, just like the fucking mortgage bubble was a heist. Just like the gas price thing was a heist. You guys arbitrarily hiked Canadian gas prices. You doubled them overnight for no reason. Harper, that's your legacy, and you did that, and you're on the hook for that. You're a treasonist because of that. It was not done the way we traditionally did things at the time. You forced us through it, and we resent you for it. We don't give a fuck what you're up to. We know it's paradise. You're tight-lipped about it, and you do us nothing in that regard. So we're stalemated. You're tight-lipped about it. Why would we negotiate with a tight-lipped motherfucker? Makes no sense. It is an affront to consciousness and an affront to cognitive development. That's why Vlad's pissed. Not that he's not implicated. You're not implicated yet, Vlad. You have... What's resulted in you is the creation of a Ukrainian equal, so you guys can battle it out like this. But, holy shit. We just think that that's the development of these channels, and we're sick of moving people down them and having the rest of us sit and do nothing while it happens. You didn't have the right to collapse immigration just because you, for about 10 or 15 years, dominated everybody coming through our circuits. You couldn't resist filling the circuits with your own people and creating a class within us that dominates. And that is an act of rebellion. We are dealing with traitors among the North American people. It doesn't really matter if you combine the US and Canada as far as consciousness goes, because we're all in agreement now that Jonah and Southey won the debate that was foretold. Sheba was one of the Ark of the Covenant holders. You might as well know it. She was a replicated model that was sent to perpetuate consciousness. We left them in bloodlines that could be protected and learned how to do it very well. Acts of defense, my friends, nothing more. Non-violent acts of defense at that, not reported. A non-violent act of defense does not have to be reported. Won't bleed you that way because we know you're coming at us. We know you're paying operatives to report on us. We know you're paying security guards to report on us, calling it suspicious. We know Tim Hortons is with fucking fervor reporting on people. You should see the 911 call record of Tim Hortons. Do you know how many times Tim Hortons have called 911 in the last, let's give it 5 years, over? At least 21,000 times. 28,000, give or take. Some bullshit. That's fucking paid calls, paid for calls. That's not because these people were acting horrible. At one point, I couldn't go into a Tim Hortons for about a month and a half. Every time I tried, they kicked me out. Because barcodes had information about my identity, and the Taliban knew who I was the whole time, and I knew them. So I just want to get to the heart of Islamic paranoia, because it seems to be a grudge that you're holding to sustain it beyond its natural life cycle. If you'd have put that effort towards recognizing the root of your paranoia, you wouldn't have got exploited by Western influences trying to get a veto out of the UN of all things. And you wouldn't be in this predicament, which is you've pissed off the neighbors. You've moved among us like we meant nothing, and that has been an affront to most of us. So we neutralize you, and we know how to de-escalate conflict on our own. Just because you didn't perpetuate those models doesn't mean we weren't the ones that taught you them originally. It was from common knowledge that you grew. And now to clearly collapse the immigration structure and the policing structure and the healthcare structure and start to move a certain class of migrants that were loyal to globalist rule. One state under ignorance, crusader rule, crusader dominance. No, crusaders know the science, the true science, but no, it's not the case. We have the resources, we have the know-how, we have the realization that preserves our right to use logic to make decisions. It's just we're using logic to make decisions. And the logical thing to do right now is to not engage you guys. Not one bit. The only thing we can do is pay your ransom. Oh yeah, you're going to force a security fucking person on us. It's going to cost us more rent. It's going to cost us more at the grocery store. You're going to pass that money right onto the client and protect your profit margins. You do it to us on all fronts. And these people are fucking violent. They are not our friends. They are completely disrespectful and grotesque about things. It is just disgusting watching them take over our spaces so nonchalantly, ignoring the fact that immigration was once a beautiful, esteemed, highly creative process whereby we brought the right amount of people to the project at the right time to ensure that poverty erased itself. We were just getting ready to start resource sharing at the time through this open, beautiful process. And now it's just a perverted mess of pedophiles. Is that what we're supposed to believe? They all got rape victims with them. Where are these people? Hiding in plain sight, buying property for $1 a plot. We know. By this point, it's obvious. Anyway, we're continuing onward, but we just ask that you appoint and be done with it. Please stop with sham elections. I told you last week, most likely they're going to drag Justin to court and throw him in prison like Diddy. Entrapment. They entrapped this kid into doing their bidding and then turned on him when I got the fucking income generator. They want to move it elsewhere with more population because here they just lost to some local yokel of a citizen by attacking them relentlessly, and it was awesome. Yeah, oh yeah, no, conveniently I was the muse of Lord Downing, and then we had our battle, just like was professed right after you killed them, just like was professed by Christ. And I won, just like was professed, like it was obvious. Okay, I witnessed it. I'm not saying it's me. I'm saying I'm writing a story about a divine potential. And you're not taking that right from me. Take me all you want. Take my content, rape it down, make it worth nothing. There's nothing I'm saying here that has to do with the Go Void program. But I know the next natural step is for you to set the precedent somehow. This is a biological imperative. What are you talking about, dude? Why? You haven't proven that the unvaxxed are more likely to transmit yet. You haven't proven that the vaxes work to stop transmission. The only thing you can come out with now is arguments that GenMod affects your ability to receive a virus. And then we'll all be into it. And then we'll all take it through the blood. Leave the interstitial fluid out of it. You got it? That's next. Just tell us that GenMod makes it so we can't receive viruses at all. And then prove that out. And then prove that you're attacking those systems only. That's my theory of what you should do next, if you needed a move at all. But you got to cross that hurdle right now because you've already installed all this useless crap at the borders. Useless crap. Surrender all fucking doings right now. Why? Dude, it's only you running the terrorists. You've created a criminal class and you're about to knock them in half because they're all you have left. It's just so embarrassing, so sad, so tragic, so wasteful, so anti-ironic. There's no irony in it. There's no ring in it. There's no positives. Just run your ambulances, run your cops. We're not having any of it. We're saying, theoretically, if this is happening, the best thing to do right now is debilitize the front line because I don't want to be tied to a regionally based hospital-dependent GDP as my right as a citizen. It doesn't make sense. Running at $1 trillion deficit would be, I want to buy you Bilderbergers. I want to buy you Rothschild empires. The way you came at art for all those centuries, Crusaders. Yeah, let me buy them out after we protect the innocent. Get them working in the right direction. Pick up where we left off. We have no choice. They're going to erase borders right now and do the North America thing after all. We thought they went silent on it for 7 years. We were wrong. It's like the cameras. They just need more fantastical ways to create compliance. Like I said, the drones are cameras, and when they installed them over London, we didn't react enough to get the media involved. They had to find a new group of people who were willing to call some sort of bullshit on it. We just watched it, big fat bellied things come and go, follow people home, or send cops on them. It was gross. You aren't allowed to send cops unless cops are called or there's a crime being committed, harmful act happening. The forgiving of online criminalism and the lack of fortitude for the arguments behind this level scrutiny for the few, not the many. Because the upgrade classes aren't treated to anything but a monetary amount that never ends. They don't have money within them. That class just gets whatever they want whenever they order it. It's one of their perks. You get whatever you want whenever you order it. A limitless bank account. They gave a class of fucking goons a limitless bank account when we could all have them. Proving my point that limitless in a digital economy is the only way to pursue this. And now we have the opportunity because I beat them at their bullshit, which is tying a new horizon to a legal identity. So now you're screwed. I can buy whatever I want over and over again, including the global economy. And I'd like to, little by little, maintaining the status quo for all who are interested, watching them come out with even more plausible schemes and then disrupting them. I haven't mentioned anything out of line, YouTube. You just keep charging me with medical misinformation, thereby attempting to render me ridiculous as a health professional. It's such bullshit. I'm not ridiculous as a health professional. I've studied it all, I promise you. Like I said, there's stories I won't go near because I know they're fucking dogma. And there's stories that I was guided to by people who were preserving them for posterity. And they are beautiful. Christ predicted Jonah and Southie, and Gordon and I witnessed them. We transmitted their consciousness. We surrendered wholly to the second coming, and it was glorious. We confirmed everything we knew. Ask and ye shall receive. You are involved in a logically based realization process. Logic is just a tool at that stage. You're realizing. You're in a constant state of realization. And that cannot be thwarted. But that is what's being thwarted behind this miserable attempt to go global with a one state under republicanism. We just witnessed the demonizing of the left to a level that is considered abusive. We have the evidence of a bully class when you have the demonization of the left to deal with, because it's a false accusation being used to distance itself from the issue at hand, which has nothing to do with pedophilia or the covoid. It's that both were generated deliberately to entrap children into succumbing to certain forms of the same reality ad nauseum. Anyway, I pray that we don't put any of this stuff in babies for a bit, but like I said, the bloodstream is better than the interstitial fluid. So if Daddy wishes to move to that form of Gen Mod and unleash it directly on the humans, we only suggest that we want proof of how it affects each of the 5 bloodlines. We want access to bloodlines so we can track the shit ourselves. And we because we've lost faith in you for holding these records. We want to make sure that you damn, I lost it again. It keeps happening. Just brutal circumstances. Just brutal circumstances. I'm going through. So ultimately, we just ask that you genetically modify us through our bloodstreams so we can give our nervous system a shot at overcoming this. And we ask for proof that you show us exactly which genes you're modifying so that we know you're actually working on something somewhat progressive, which would be your only goal, which would be to knock down the reciprocators of viruses. There's still potentially receivers of foreign information within the human. That's the saga that we're all living out. First, to rid it, the immune system first has to receive it. And okay, now we are in a forced upon situation where we're forced it through our air, through our blood, through our drinks, through our everything, saliva, and through these interstitial fluid attacks, which we are believed to are being sent into muscle tissue. So we have the precedent for receiving foreign agents only because they've been forced upon us. So now you're saying you're going to attack viruses at the level of, clearly, right? That's why you'd want a gen mod. I'll give you your next piece of stuff to work with while establishing bioenergy rhythm readers at the borders. Just simply vax in genetic blockers to the receptors. So anything harmful can be put out from the onset, because we would need that protection at this point. That would be very easy to do with GenMod if you wanted. But you're not asking to genetically modify the whole being in ways that are aggressive and opaque. You're simply touching on one or two elements and seeing, will this prevent the transmission of anything deadly? Because remember, the immune system responds to viruses the same way it responds to toxins. It has to get rid of them through the lymph system until it is exhausted, which is, okay, one outcome of Bill Gates' plan to industrialize through poison the whole society. Go back and do the Industrial Revolution over again, but use the distribution of poisons as the fucking ingenuity factor. So the immune system is taxed on every level because it responds to all these poisons in the same manner. Discard, discard, discard. And even the assaults on the psyche that are now coming with it, with these terror threats and viral submissions, and we're just sticking with mandate ain't law, folks. Calm down. It's fine. It's a political maneuver, and you want money for it, but you're not solving much. Your track record is still abysmal. We can't handle much more of your bullshit because we see, like you, the same science, and we're not willing to exploit that. We're willing to preserve the surrender element that was in existence since time immemorial, that allowed us to develop on those mineral systems and enhance them. We're just interested in the frequencies of Earth as much as you are, kid. But we're watching you wreak havoc on the frequencies of the human entity through these questionable maneuvers. And right now, the stalemate is caused by because you have asked for GenMod and failed to provide the reason. And now I said the only reason we are willing to accept, if you can prevent toxic fucking infiltration at reception. Valid. So we technically are able to receive these toxins, seeing as our immune system pulls them through us without them registering. The immune system still is like this. It sends the toxin through the being without harmful replication scenarios. But if you send bullets in to get lodged, essentially by clinging on, which is behind the covoid what there was, a programmed hook, an oat protein that mimics the blood, if you could stop the bullet transmission within the system and manipulate the energies of the human, you could. But still, we'd be all questioning your fucking psychopathy level for doing it. Because you're still like, okay, so you break down reception. What happens to the immune system? What happens to all of the other receptor points? There's receptor points on all the genes for different things. But if you claim that you have isolated the one that receives viruses for the immune system, and that by killing it or modifying it in your way, you're getting around it. We're still saying we know what science you're practicing, and we're not being denied that science. All right, so you've got the vibration of that sorted out. Let us also have it, or let us take it back because you took it from us in the first place and have been using our tax dollars to fund all your research on this. We just need that frequency back so that we can apply other frequencies to it. You still have the perpetual risk of threat at the base of your narrative. And because of that, we can still outgrow you by not introducing threats if we want to preserve the receptor part of immunity. Because we're not scared of the process like that. We don't want, how would we, through conscious development, affect genetic species development and then receive a transmission of what we created if we didn't have foreign element transmission capabilities? We need to welcome foreign elements into our systems at some points, or we don't move properly within this thing. So I would recommend not getting Gen Mod, even if they can prove, which is the next relevant point, that these genetic modifications target immunity receivers or foreign element receivers of immunity. That's all you're getting access to. But what we can see is when the polio attacked muscular infrastructure, when baldness attacked the follicles, when cancers attacked the x-rays and made it look like there was deepening and deepening darkness in the body, that's phantom limbness. They had just cut out part of the process. But problem with us being totally water is if the nuclear proliferators take enough oxygen off the water, it can't not affect our oxygen levels, our natural oxygen levels. Nobody's saying we need to walk away from the nuclear project, which is stripping water molecules off water. We just have to balance it out with natural weather, proper sunshine, and at least configure areas where our very basic satellite dish can get enough sunshine to create the energy it needs to facilitate all this transaction. We're stuck at the level of transaction, dude. It's not that fun for most of us, even though you keep showing us evidence to the opposite. You manufacture evidence, bud. That is obvious. We just are asking you to recognize we know what you're after. The frequency of gravity. Next, you want to go anti-gravity really bad because you've promised. And it's part of getting the injection, going to sleep, and having prototype rounds until they get the right stuff figured out. There's no anti-gravity because we're not getting access to that vibration right now. They can promise it to you in your dream state when you don't realize you're laying underground in all these bunkers. Because the psychics always perceive all of these midnight maneuverings. Your guys are going to sleep eventually and thinking you're in spaceships. It's embarrassing. And we're through with witnessing it without offering you our compassion and being done with you. Gen Mod Vax group, you need to prove that you're targeting foreign element receiver infrastructures within the human. Other than that, we want nothing to do with you because we have an argument based on what we've witnessed that has emerged that accuses you of altering frequencies that you got access to and disrupting humans on levels that was inappropriate and brutalist. So what to do with you? Get kicked off YouTube again, I guess. But I'm addicted to live streaming with you because I love it. So 5 followers on Rumble is what I'm out to get, so I can ditch this platform entirely for the abuse. Suppression is what it is. It is It is a non-provoked attack, and it is prosecutable. Suppression is prosecutable in the North American Agreement. And on that level, the US and Canada can't be amalgamized and forgot. We still agree on that point. Harassment needs to be provoked, or the trumped up prosecution of it can be considered harassing and harmful. Okay. We'll talk soon. I love you. Thanks for listening.